Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for our conversation about social media and what that looks like for farms and food businesses. So I'm going to share my screen. Da-da-da. Um, just as a reminder, hold on, let me get in here. Oh my goodness. Okay. Um, You can use the chat the whole time for questions as we go along, or just comments too, if you have just any experiences that you want to share, or different points you want us to touch on throughout the conversation, just please feel free to chat away. Again, yes, Social Media 101, exploring platforms and best practices for farms and food businesses. And I know not everyone here, maybe you don't have a farm or a food business, maybe you're part of a farmer's market or a food hub, or work with farms and food businesses. So I think um, this is information relevant to all types of people in the food world. Um, this is our, gosh, wow, we're like almost halfway through the year. So this is our sixth local food marketing webinar for this year's series. And it's been really fun so far. So just make sure, and I'll include in a follow-up email, or you can see it on our website too, previous recordings of webinars. And it's great to see some familiar names here, but for those of you who haven't been here before, we are Taste the Local Difference. We're a marketing agency that we specialize in marketing strategies for the food industry. And not just in Michigan, we do it nationally. We are based in Michigan, and the majority of our partners and folks we work with are in Michigan. But if you're not here, we are there to support you as well. We do a lot of website work, social media strategies, email, logo creation. I think our specialty is that a lot of us have worked in the food system before. That is our niche, and we're really passionate about the people bringing fresh local food to our communities. I'm Emily Rao. I'm the media and brand manager here at Taste the Local Difference. I get to work with our annual local food guide, which just came out. So you can check out online, or farmers markets near you soon. Um, and yeah, I get to do sort of the strategy behind that. And then I am really excited to introduce Hajar, who she is our newest TLD member and our social media specialist. Um, and I'll let her introduce herself as well. Today we're going to do a Q&A with her to talk about social media. So Hajar, do you want to do a little intro of yourself?
Yes. So, hi, my name is Hajar. I am the social media specialist here at TLD. I've pretty new. I've been here for a month, but previously I've worked in a position which was very food focused, and I worked with many different clients to help their online presence and their social medias and gain their visibility online. So, I'm new to this farm and businesses, but I have worked in food for about 2 years now, and I'm very excited to learn what I have learned over the years with you.
Okay, thanks, Hajar. All right. So one thing we hear a lot, and we kind of our next question, we're going to talk about it as well. But farm and food businesses have, especially small ones, which is the majority of the folks we work with, um, they're so busy. They're so busy all the time. And between just doing the day-to-day tasks or strategizing for the future. Even when it comes to marketing, there's so many different things folks can do. So why would social media be important for a farm and food business?
So, an online presence is really essential for visibility, especially for most. customers are online at this point. So when you don't have time to be face to face with someone, really leveraging that like online presence and your visibility can help connect with different audience and also expand your reach. So it's really important to kind of build that brand recognition and that trust. So when like potential customers or customers that have already purchased from you have see that you post, it's kind of builds up your credibility, and it allows them to trust you, and want to kind of return to your business and purchase from your farms and your food businesses. And then this also, your online presence helps to kind of create a community that's not face to face or direct. So when you're engaging with comments or like messaging with your potential customers, then it kind of creates a sense of belonging and a community and helps your audience and your customers uh, recognize that you recognize that even though you're not in store, you still value them, and it helps with loyalty. And then this could help then potentially boost your sales so they can become advocates for your business, and then this could lead to an increase in sales. And then you could also use your social media presence to um, promote your products so it can reach a wider audience. And then this a lot of social media platforms allow you the opportunity to link your website and your business address. So this can directly drive traffic to your website, which then boosts your sales. And, it's always good to have a separate space to be able to reach a wider audience where you can boost and promote like new products or special offers and promotions, um, rather than just being face to face and in store. Um, and along the lines of credibility, you could also share um, customer testimonials, and this may also encourage others to purchase from your farm or your food business. Emily, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think that was a great explanation. I think another thing is you mentioned driving um, traffic to your website, and I think that's, I mean, obviously huge key, especially if you have an e-commerce um, site. But even if you don't have a website, like this can be like serve the purpose of kind of like what you would share on a website. Of course, we always advocate for a website for that kind of central location for people to find information about you, but you can really deck out your about me section on like Facebook, or have a lot of information in your Instagram bio, and then share updates and information through your social media as well. Um, but yeah, again, we love to see a website. And I know that when I'm searching for a business, or if I just like in passing see like a really cool logo or some name at maybe the farmer's market, one of the first things I do is, besides Googling, is I'll check out their Instagram to see if they're on Instagram or Facebook. And then I had one other question, Hajar. What about like the audiences of like the different platforms, or like just who is online in general?
So I have noticed in the past couple years since TikTok has really exploded, and then Instagram Reels came into um, fruition as well, that more of a younger audience is on uh, TikTok. But I've also have noticed that on Instagram, a lot of the older generation have been um, kind of moving into that space from Facebook because they're almost integrated with each other. And Meta has made it easy for you to create like an Instagram account from your Facebook account and vice versa. So I would say that, I mean, I would say on Facebook, there's more of a larger and older audience, but all platforms, I think, have the ability to target whoever you want if you just are creating the right content for it. Um, and it just depends on what kind of content you have. So if you have images or reels, images or videos, it's really interesting to actually figure out how versatile these assets are. So um, I would say that short form content is also becoming very um, is like the most used content right now, and it attracts a larger audience because it's easy to digest.
Yeah, for sure. I think also just a couple things. So short form video content is kind of what we're talking about with short form content, which is that kind of like the things like the videos you scroll if you're on TikTok or if you're on Facebook or on like YouTube. Um, that just like those shorter videos. And then Meta, since this is social media 101, if you don't know, is the parent company. Um, and you can control both of your and manage your Instagram and Facebook account from that Meta. It's called the Business Suite. And you can also do like advertisements. And I mean, I feel like there's like 100 different little avenues you can rabbit holes you can do and you can search analytics and everything. So cool. Thanks, Star. This is along the same lines. So we've talked about I don't have a lot of time if I'm running this small business. But with the precious time that I do have, if I'm an owner of a small business, a local food or farm business, where should I focus my effort? Is there like one of those platforms that I should use, or just like a certain kind of content in general?
So I guess it would really depend on the kind of content that you have, and then really trying to be as uh, cross posting. So as we were talking about MetaSuite, which was the parent company for Instagram and Facebook, it really allows you to use both Facebook and Instagram. So if you don't have time to be dealing with two socials, you could just go into like one of these platforms that allows you to cross post, which means creating one post and then scheduling it for both platforms. So you don't have to do it each individually or natively with like within the actual app. So that's really helpful for if you don't have a lot of time. There are also other social media tools and softwares like Hootsuite or Sprout Social, and these allow you to schedule posts ahead of time. And then this will allow you to be more efficient and just more conscious of your time. And it will just automate um, posting. So you can also kind of like uh, bulk post, bulk schedule your posts. So you don't have to keep going in and scheduling your posts for later. Um, and then if you don't have a lot of time, I would just suggest focusing on one kind of content. So either um, videos or photos. And then so you don't have to worry about collecting all different kinds. And then, as I said, yeah, cross posting. Photos I feel like are very easy to do like in everyday life because everybody like has their phone on them. So it doesn't really have to be like any special photography, but it really can help to just be more mindful and aware of your actual process and then maybe thinking to yourself, oh, this would be interesting to post on socials.
Yeah. And I feel like with the feeling like it's interesting, sometimes you might not think it's an interesting thing to post, but your followers on Instagram or Facebook, or if you do decide to be in the TikTok world or Threads, or there's other things too, we're really focusing on Instagram and Facebook because that's where we find a lot of our businesses are and their audiences. But um, shoot, what was I saying? What was I saying, Kashar? I was saying, I just
Um,
lost my train of thought.
you were talking about how you would not find some like everyday tasks interesting.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's part of your everyday life. And so you're like, why would someone want to see me like washing eggs or like how I package greens for market or just like getting ready for a farmer's market day or setting a place at my restaurant. I feel like folks, and I don't just feel it, like we see like the engagement to prove it, that people are really interested in behind the scenes. And I think for a long time, there's kind of like an illusion that this like social media world is just like a fake world where everything's like kind of rosy or I'm not really authentic there. And something that I always say to folks is like, it's as authentic as you make it to be. So I think especially those behind the scenes uh, images or videos or stories or whatever you're sharing, um, it brings people into the business and it gets them to know you and to share your story and who you are. So it does create a community. I think another thing that I really like about in this like community aspect of spending your time somewhere, and maybe it's not necessarily right for your business, but I do find on Facebook, I'm there a lot for groups and like creating groups. And so if you're a part of them as a business, and like finding like a niche like gardening group or people who love like local tomatoes or something and just really like diving into those communities too. But I did like, yeah, Hajar, what you said about like focusing on a kind of content. So you're not like thinking all the time, like, oh my gosh, I have to like use a different part of my brain to figure out short form video content. That's really stressful. Like maybe you want to just start even with doing little short videos in your stories, just like things that are live. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, Hajar? I think I did interrupt you.
Oh no, you're fine. But I kind of wanted to go off that point where,
Yeah.
yeah, the the most mundane things I feel like um tend to be more visible, like they reach a wider audience because they're not so complex. And I feel like that's people kind of use social media as like an escape. So coming across these videos that is maybe just like the trees like waving in the wind or like what I do in a day, but it's just like your farming process. Um or your like recipes that you do, I feel like really helps people escape. And I feel like the engagement on those are really high compared to like more complex videos. So it really could be really simple and it's just something that it is very easy to overthink about. But honestly, like once you go like about your day and you're just like, maybe like I'm just gonna snap a photo real quick or take a quick video. It becomes really easy and kind of like second nature to do so. I also wanted to add something that helps if you do not have a lot of time and helps with organization are content calendars. So maybe like taking one day out of the month to kind of just plan out what you want to post and what's coming up in the month for you and your business, so that you're not going about every single day or maybe every week and being like, oh, what do I have to do this week? And kind of stressing yourself out. So I think it becomes really helpful to like maybe create like a Google Sheet or maybe use a software, an online software like ClickUp, which helps you create your content calendar in advance. And then you can go ahead and like put in your photos or captions in advance as well. So you don't have to like stress about it every single day.
Yeah, definitely. I think before I started working with folks and like social media, the idea of like having to post just like felt so like so much labor. And I love, yeah, content calendars and just planning things ahead of time and knowing it's taken care of. So beneficial. So if I'm new to the process of like sharing my business, like we talked about on social media, what are some examples of like either we've kind of covered like that short form video content behind the scenes, but what other kind of content is valuable for farms or food businesses to post?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I would kind of just be mindful of what's around you and what's going into your actual business. So maybe the people you work with, like your team or your products or just like your farming activities. That I feel like is the kind of content that you might want to focus on, to help people gain insight onto what you're doing in your farm processes. And this could also improve just trust and credibility for your business itself. So showing the process of maybe uh, farming or the food production. Another thing you could post would be maybe customer testimonials or so what people are saying about your farm. Maybe if you have like a Google page or you already have like a Facebook page and people are commenting on stuff like that, maybe you could leverage that kind of content as well. Um, Also maybe the content, like user generated content or customer generated content. So when people are visiting your farms or your businesses, maybe asking them to reshare or reposting what they've posted about your business, and then utilizing that as well. And then um, seasonal updates or promotions, special events, those kinds of stuff that also are relevant to your food businesses. So really, it doesn't have to be that complex. I think, as I was saying, yeah, just be very, you can just be very like mindful of what you're doing. And honestly, I feel like everything is very, could be significant to an Instagram because people want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, agreed. And I think like kind of spreading that out to like a variety of content. Something I do see businesses make a mistake in is just like every single one of their posts is like an out like the hours they're going to be at market or like a schedule change or like which I think obviously those are really important pieces of information. But I think that's something that you want more in your about section. And if something's changing, maybe you post that in a story, which is that kind of temporary um, like sharing of information. And if you have to post it in your feed, um, doing that in a way that matches your like brand, so your colors and your font. And so you're kind of making a cohesive look to your whole social media page. And then the other thing is, and Hajara, you can correct me if this is a little outdated, but we've usually talk about how 80% of your content should be more educational and entertaining, while the other like just 20% should be sales focused, which sometimes feels tough because you're like, well, I like need to boost sales. I want to do sales. Um, but it's kind of a turnoff for users to just see like, oh, they're just like selling something and selling something. That behind the scenes and those reviews and just that community aspect Hajar is talking about is is going to create loyalty that does boost sales, or a community that does eventually do it instead of just like whatever like promotions and information about new products.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to add, I think specifically for farm and food businesses, it's, I mean, you're using your product, so I feel like lots of content of how they could actually use your product, and then that might also improve your sales instead of just saying, "Oh, we have this." It's more, how can you use this or how does this benefit you? Or just showing recipes. I feel like recipes um have a high engagement rate because people tend to save them and want to look back at them later. So just stuff like product highlights or like recipes and cooking stuff that can be really interactive for your audience instead of just looking at your page, as Emily said, and being like, oh, they're selling something again. Um, so stuff that kind of will involve the community more than just selling a product.
Yeah. And something else I have on here as kind of an example is this is um our content strategy specialist Claire is featured in this image. She did a lot of work with My Farm Co-op in Northern Michigan. Um, but they had a photo shoot so that they could share images of the folks that work on their team. And that's another great content is like you don't really have to think hard about the people you work on your team. Like share a photo of them and like who are they? People find that content interesting too.
I also wanted to add, I feel like what could be really beneficial as well, to gain that legitimacy and credibility is using stories. So stories are the 24-hour posts that you post that disappear after 24 hours. And on Instagram specifically, there are options to have polls or Q&As, and then these can allow your customers and your audience to gain more insight and ask you directly questions regarding your business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like over time, like the features just increase and increase. There's a lot you can do, but again, starting small is totally fine and recommended. Um, So we have about 5 minutes left, so we will respect everyone's time. We just have a couple of questions, then we want to open it up in the end. But I did put these two examples in, but I also want Hajar to share if she's got any as well. But just in general too, where can you look for inspiration for folks that are doing it well? I shared Folk. I think they do a really great job at updating their menu and taking product shots, great descriptions and a good look. Their highlights, or which are the little circles that say like James Beard, Wine and More. Those all look nice. I also think not Michigan based, but Baker Creek Seeds is hilarious and you should follow them because their real content is wild and out of this world. So if you want an example of an entertaining, um, yet like selling product example, they're very fun to follow, but you don't have to set that as your standard. But Hajar, I'll pass it to you for any answers that you have.
I was gonna add maybe looking at bigger companies, maybe like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. Yes, they're huge and have huge teams. But just looking at their pages for inspiration and maybe just like the vibes, and then kind of translating that into a smaller scale of what am I capable of and how am I capable of kind of translating their strategy into my own strategy, since they do have bigger audiences. So it is easier to kind of determine which one of their posts do better and have more engagements than other posts, and then kind of using that strategy on your own accounts. And also just your local farmers markets, maybe going to your local farmers markets and looking up their own Instagram and maybe thinking about, wait, how did I find out about them and how can I do that for my own business?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like funny to think, and not funny, but like if you're the one who owns your business and is doing social media, there are companies who have like 50 people doing them, like plus. So yeah, totally don't need to reinvent the wheel. Go check it out, see what's working for folks. So if I am comfortable, if I'm in this session, feeling pretty comfortable about social media, what is the next step for folks, do you think?
So I would say maybe trying to expand your audience from maybe like like your small town or your local community to maybe a little wider audience where um people still can drive in, but it's just expanded a little more than your local community. And then also maybe performing an audit for your account, and that would be maybe hiring people or having just people look at your account and helping you decide what you can do better, and what you can change on a smaller scale. And then you can also do this with your friends and family, maybe just asking them to look at your social media and what they think of it from an outside perspective instead of you just having to go in and looking at it yourself. I feel like outside perspectives are very beneficial in that
Yeah,
maybe there's things that we don't think of and advice that we haven't wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
totally. It's huge. Love that outside perspective. We have the chat open for any questions. So I'm going to let folks um, put anything there if they would like to. And then in the meantime, just want to remind folks that like the social media strategy that Hajar talked about is something that we offer. These marketing webinars are not just to sell you things. So we really support doing whatever you want. But if it is something you're interested in, you can let us know. We've got an inquiry form on the site and you can just email us as well. And we've got tips also on our Instagram. So again, if you're not looking for um, paying for support, just go there and if you have any tips. I'm going to stop sharing my screen to check the chat really quick. It doesn't look like we've got any questions. But again, if you are, oops, um, if you have any questions, you can email us. And then our emails are very simple. So if you want to ask specific questions to Hajar, it's just Hajar at localdifference.org and same for myself, except for My name is Emily. That is a little different. There's going to be a quick survey that's sent to you after this, and I think we are all finished. So have an excellent week, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again next month.